This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on May 8th, 2026. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, something near and dear to both Cowboy and myself has been attacked. Education. Cowboy, how you doing?
I don't like it. Makes me angry. We're going to get into that story in a minute, but doing good. I taught Pentest Plus boot camp this week, which I do love doing. Speaking of education, so hopefully arming some cyber warriors to do more harm to the bad guys, because clearly we need it.
Oh yes, the fight continues. That's for sure.
Yes.
How
the heck are you, my
it's
friend?
a long week. Got offered a conversation last night to possibly get back into academic teaching, not full time. It would be very much an adjuncty sort of thing. We'll see if that conversation materializes. Then maybe Professor CyberRisk will actually be a professor again. So there you go.
Super cool.
That could happen. And for everyone, we brought up very early on, the software the professor has been working on, Windows finally compiled it, even though it's been ready on Mac and Linux for testing for quite some time. So now we can actually do the real beta testing. One thing I've learned through all the software development that I've been doing lately, uh, coding, and I'm going to say this and it's going to be a triggering thing, but I think most people that have done this will understand it. Coding is easy, air quotes. Shipping is hard. And if you don't understand, then you've never done that. And that's the difference. Because anybody can post anything on GitHub. But making something that is commercially viable is a different beast altogether. And I've learned that through trial and error at this point. So let's get on to the news. In our top story, Duke is among 9,000 schools affected by the Canvas attack. A major cybersecurity breach has hit infrastructures hit infrastructure known as Canvas, not Canva, Canvas, learning management system, one of the most widely used education platforms in the world. The threat group, and we've heard of these guys before, Cowboy, ShinyHunters exploited vulnerabilities to breach Canvas systems, defacing login portals across approximately 330 educational institutions and taking parts of the platform offline while it's being investigated. The attack was a two-pronged attack. First, live portal defacements demanding a ransom payment by the 12th of May under the threat of data leaks. And second, mass data exfiltration that Instructure confirmed included over 3.6 terabytes of information encompassing, here we go, user records, private messages, enrollment data, and other information accessible through Canvas's API endpoints and data export features. The compromised data affects approximately 275 million users across nearly 9,000 educational institutions worldwide, including major universities like Duke, CMS Charlotte, and hundreds of K-12 districts. This is not the first attack on Canvas's Instructure's systems. The company disclosed a previous breach in April, where once again, ShinyHunters claimed to have stolen similar data from thousands of schools. The repeated targeting highlights critical vulnerabilities in how Canvas handles its API access and authentication across its education-focused infrastructure. For organizations using Canvas, immediately review API access logs for suspicious activity, audit user authentication configurations, verify your backups, and monitor official infrastructure security advisories for the updates. Educational institutions should also alert administrators and staff to potential credential compromise if login data was in fact exfiltrated. Man, going after the kids, it's not good. It's not good.
Cowboy's angry.
Yeah,
Cowboy's angry. I mean, Canvas is used by 41% of higher education systems, right? Almost half. And yeah, we've talked about ShinyHunters before. Boy, they're coming back with a vengeance, hard. And it's not the first time they've hit education technology, as you alluded to, right? You're talking billions of customer records, hit K through 12, right? We get upset.
Like I understand. Look, all right. forgive me. I understand university. Not that I approve or agree with it. I understand it. It's a for-profit business. I get it. K through 12? What is a kindergartner gonna do? What, are you stealing kids' information because you know the parents will comply and give you money? That's just you're awful. You're simply awful at that point. You're not just a criminal.
Yeah,
You're a miserable waste of oxygen.
it is. And their big message hit right away. It just said pay or leak. And it is they're despicable. And I hope all of the law enforcement organizations are upping the ante on these folks because
All of
they're
them.
just terrible.
This should be a
Yeah,
worldwide manhunt. This just
it's
kids.
it's wrong.
No.
And it's not the first time that um this is a supply chain attack, right? I want to make sure that's clear to the audience. This
Okay.
is a supply chain attack. They didn't hit universities directly. They hit a third party infrastructure that they use, right? A learning management system, an LMS. And it just reiterates what we talk about regularly, which is um, uh, one, Canvas really needs to get their and Instructure need to get their stuff together because it's not the first time they've been breached, but lock down your supply chain, do due diligence on them third parties because third party breaches can majorly impact you as we're seeing with this.
Yeah. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all.
A lot of stuff went down because of this. Massive impact.
Well, once again, audit your supply chains, folks. I mean, that's really the message here. Whether Canvas has some work to do on how it handles its APIs for sure. But if they're third parties that are plugged into them or providing services to them, are the weak point, you really need to be doing a better job of your TPRM type activities to make sure that they're they're gonna be good stewards of the partnership that you have with them. Like, as much as this is a loaded term, and for me anyway, cowboy will understand why. The audience won't, at least for now. Um, when a third party damages your brand, that's not good. And that's kind of what's happening here, right? And I don't know if that's because Canvas didn't do its due diligence or something changed at the third party or what happened, but it's just bad. It's just bad. And I don't like that kids' information is in the wind because that will be a negative impact on them potentially for the rest of their existence. And they haven't even had a chance to start yet. And that's just despicable. It just is.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me throw out
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
one last piece of this, and then we can close it up.
Sure.
So, want to quote Doug Thompson, Chief Education Architect and Director of Solutions Engineering for Tanium, that this breach follows a clear pattern that we've been watching and again talking about for the last 18 months or so, where they're not targeting individual campuses or businesses as much. They're moving into that supply chain that is widely used across many industries or companies and whatnot, right? So it is a shift, a trend shift that we're seeing. So just to reiterate, if you have a third party uh, um, software or support thing that you use that also supplies a lot of other people, you need to stop and do some due diligence right now. So.
I'm going to center myself so I can not be on the soapbox. Okay. All right. Story in our next story. Hackers use fake Claude AI site to infect users with the new, is it Beagle? Beagle
Mhm.
malware. Yeah. Hackers
Like the
have been
dog.
using a fake website for AI called claude-pro.com to infect users with new Beagle malware. The site uses malvertising and SEO poisoning to lure in victims who believe they are downloading legitimate AI tools. Once downloaded, the user receives an MSI installer, so this is definitely hitting Windows, that drops 3 files into their startup folder. The files are the noveupdate.exe, avk.dll, and an encrypted data file called noveupdate.exe.dat. The attackers then use a technique called DLL sideloading, something that Cowboy and I are both familiar with, to trick the genuine noveupdate.exe from the G data antivirus into loading their malicious AVK DLL. So I could use a mermaid chart if I could pull one up right now to help make that all clearer. This eventually leads to the execution of an in-memory donut loader. The final payload is a new backdoor malware named Beagle, which can run commands, move files, and manage directories using instructions like upload, download, command, and list. It communicates with a command and control server at license.cloud-pro.com using a hard-coded key. So they didn't do their due diligence. They vibe coded this in for sure. Beagle underscore default underscore secret underscore key 12345 exclamation point. This group has been active for months with the main server set up in March of 2026. I can't believe this has been around that long and not caught yet. And samples found from February and April. The attackers reuse the same XOR key across different donut samples throughout the year. This attack matters because it shows how hackers are using AI popularity to trick people into installing malware. It also highlights the importance of being cautious when downloading files from unknown sources, as they may contain malicious software. Organizations should ensure that their employees are aware of these types of attacks and educate them on best practices for staying safe. Friday night, folks. Staying safe online. There should also be regular updates to security measures and perform thorough risk assessments to identify any potential vulnerabilities in your systems. Additionally, organizations should consider implementing anti-malware tools and intrusion detection systems to help prevent and detect such attacks. Cowboy, you going to claude-pro.com?
Oh, I download everything the internet tells me to. I don't even check. I just blindly download, right? Wow, yeah, this. So I don't like that they named it Beagle because there's a Beagle malware and backdoor from like 2016, which is not the same as this Beagle backdoor. And I couldn't really find any information on the Beagle backdoor. What we do know is that it talks to the command and control server over 443 and UDP port 8080, so you can start narrowing in on those ports, looking for that encrypted AES traffic going across. Interesting, the DLL that you mentioned decrypts the data file using a reverse XOR key, right? Which is replying the same XOR key operation to the ciphertext. And it runs that resulting shell code, which loads the donut loader, which is an open source in-memory loader. And then the donut deploys the Beagle backdoor. So multiple steps going on there, malicious dynamic link libraries. Yeah, there's a lot here, and this I we've harped on this before, right? I think this is back to the whole like one, so-called experts need to rein people in and actually give them expert information, and two, just do
Well,
a tiny bit of due diligence and look at what you're downloading,
so there's that.
like
And your DNS
take the
providers
time.
could just block the DNS since it's been there for months now. Block the
Right.
DNS record and stuff will stop. This won't work anymore because their key is hard coded. It's not even salted. It's not random. It's just the
Yeah.
same damn key. So if it can't get to that particular DNS entry, it ain't going anywhere. I don't understand how this is still a thing in the wild with it being this poorly coded. Well, I guess I do. I don't want to get in, but yeah.
And they're also using their C2 servers are on the Alibaba cloud, right? Which
Ah,
further complicates things
yes, I guess it
because,
does.
yeah, if you know Alibaba cloud, you understand why it's complicated, and I won't have to say it out loud. But who's
but
hosting it?
what if you don't? It is a foreign nation state that has a command economy, I think would be the way I would say that. How about that?
Yeah, in the East, right?
Very much
That's
the East. Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
should be enough hints.
That
You can
yeah,
figure it out.
I hope that's not too heavy-handed. Okay. In our next story, this is more positive. So see, we try to get a little
we
positive, a little bit.
we sneak
Alchemy
them in there.
surges, shares surge 26% on 1.8 billion AI infrastructure deal as the quarter one results meet their estimates. So good for Alchemy. Alchemy Technologies, which, if you didn't know, is a cybersecurity and cloud computing company, announced its Q1 results, which met their estimates. The company also shared that it has entered into an agreement to acquire AI infrastructure provider BrainHub.ai for 1.8 billion. Well, I guess congrats BrainHub for the sale. The acquisition deals with the purchase of BrainHub AI's infrastructure, which includes technology related to natural language processing, or NLP, and machine learning. This technology is expected to enhance Alchemy's existing security solutions by providing advanced threat detection capabilities. The acquisition highlights the growing importance of AI in cybersecurity. By integrating AI into their security solutions, Alchemy aims to provide more sophisticated protection against emerging threats and improve overall security offerings. Well, I mean, I'm not opposed. Uh, and again, congrats to BrainHub for making 1.8 billion on a sale. I wish we could do that, Cowboy. I mean, it's
Uh,
good. It's good for them. Good, and if Alchemy's purchase of this actually ends up a net positive to what their security offerings are, I'm all for it, right? Speed of impact to stop to blunt the blunt force trauma that's happening to us. All for. All for.
Yep, we got to spend money to reduce the cost of doing business from
Oh, yeah.
cyber payments, right? Especially with the first story that we covered. So, and yeah, congrats on them. I support uh, the market economy, and it's good to see purchases and shareholders doing well. I wish I had some of that stock, but I don't. Um, but good for them. And I think we've talked about Akamai before and
Oh yeah.
their push toward AI security, both securing AI and using AI for security, which is just at this point, I think we've made the case that it is clearly needed. It's needed correctly. I got on my soapbox yesterday and today a little bit with some of the students about AI, particularly in the some of the areas we work, and just doing it smartly, doing it where it's needed, not just because you want AI somewhere in your system, because you think that's the cool thing, right? We always in
Wait.
we,
We can't just value add by putting AI in. It
I
has to do something.
God, you're gonna make me upset, stabbing me in the heart, sir, stabbing me in the heart. I do like, the term I heard when I first got out and joined the commercial world was like, don't tell me what you need, tell me what the problem is, tell me what you want to do, and let the experts tell you how to do that. Too often than not, people are like, I want X because it sounds cool or it's the new shiny thing. And it's like, well, do you? So anyway, trying not to get off on that. But yeah, this is good news. I mean, I hope they're able to continue doing great things to protect uh, everything the government, the state governments, but most importantly, the people, because they're the victims in the end.
Agree 100%. There's your 100%. There's your first
Mm,
100% of the episode right there. All right.
that's right.
For
You have to
those that
say it for me. I'm banned from saying that term
you may have used it once
from
or
multiple
twice.
people.
Yes. All right. In our last story for tonight, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, warns of new AI models risk with systemic shock to the financial system. The IMF is warning that advanced AI powered cyber attacks pose a serious threat to global financial stability. Well, if they listened to the podcast, they would have heard about that months ago from you and me.
Right.
IMF analysts suggest that extreme cyber incident losses could trigger funding strains, raise solvency concerns, and disrupt broader markets. Something else Cowboy and I have been saying. The study's authors highlighted the risk posed by The highly interconnected nature of the global financial system, with advanced AI models able to quote unquote dramatically reduce the time and cost of exploitation. Well, I'm glad that it's finally reaching global governmental institutions as an area of concern. But again, maybe some old friends are listening to the podcast and that's how it got there. Because, yeah, cost of doing business, right? Maybe that cost is finally getting too high, or it's hitting too much critical infrastructure at the same time that it's now something that the people that control the money are going to be actively concerned with. Maybe that's a good, net negative, but potentially positive. Cowboy?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked about that sort of impact, and yeah, I mean, I could see using AI to uh, do some nastiness in the global market, right? And it's already touchy enough as it is. The littlest thing can cause dramatic spikes or drops, right? Big sell-offs over something small, and coming only a couple weeks after Anthropic talked about its, and we talked about its Mythos model, right, which
Right.
is really good at finding and exploiting weaknesses. And so hitting hitting the stock market, whether in the US or any major stock market around the world, would have some devastating effects. And a 10% drop in today's markets can be devastating to people. Um, and I don't mean the rich, they're going to take it too, but they'll be fine, right? I'm talking a major impact to the average person who is close to retirement, right? And now they can't because of a massive dip that could be caused by an AI powered cyber attack. It's
Yeah.
terrible to think about. And that's why we're hoping the good guys can get there sooner.
Yeah, I don't think the study was worried so much about direct impact on the financial system. I think that what they're saying is that these AI cyber attacks, just because of how disruptive they are starting to be, has impact on the financial system
Mm,
and the strains that is causing, right? So if you it in most of our stories of late, it is a third party. It's third party uh upriver infrastructure that seems to be where the problem is for most of these attacks. And when you start thinking of it that way, that becomes a real concern, because who is using the tool, the piece of code, that piece of underlining software, this repository that could be integrated into a piece of critical infrastructure just because it was so well known, or it was just a really essential thing, and that's what ends up getting exploited. Not the primary software, not the infrastructure itself, directly anyway, right? I don't want to get that confused too much, because the infrastructure is at that point. But um it's that extra piece, that one piece that's built by someone else that you need to use to make all of your stuff work. That's what's compromised. And you may not even know that, because of, whether it's a public repository or whatever else, and it gets compromised, and that then gets updated, and that update feeds into your systems. That's what I think is where this report is headed, and kind of focusing on, is all of the extra disruption that happens. But I'm glad that they're taking a look at it now. Like I said, at the top of the story, if the money people are worried, maybe things will change.
that's so true. So
I mean,
it's always that way, right? It's the money will get you the fixes,
it's not. I'm
hopefully.
not saying it's pleasant, and I'm not saying it's quote unquote right. I'm just saying it is the way it is. Cost of
Is
doing
what it is.
business gets too high, then you got to assess what's costing all that money. And if they're finally assessing that cyber is costing them money, then I think we'll start to see real progress, and cyber attacks not costing them that much money. That's what I think will happen.
Hmm.
Yep. All right, Cowboy, what else you got for us tonight?
All right, my closing in your face comment. The LMS wasn't down for maintenance. It was busy teaching a lesson in cyber hygiene. Today's lesson plan: phishing, privilege escalation, and why MFA matters.
Wow.
I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty, everybody.
And I'm the Professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.